Hello and welcome back for part 2. Let's go ahead and get right into VMware Player 5. Again, same as before, you guys are all more than capable of finding this on Google, or you can see me after the presentation. I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction. But for time constraints, I really didn't want to get into the download process. Start the executable, run it. Next. I'm going to throw mine right in its own little directory there. And, excuse me, VMware Player. Next. Yep. Definitely not. And yep. And okay. This is pretty quick. Nothing I have to pause, but again, I'm not going to waste anybody's time with the XP install. We all know how to do that by this point. Okay, check the background here. No. Okay, I apologize. I guess I will pause it. It's taking a little bit longer than I thought it would. Be right back. Okay, we are back. Now, I put that in a root folder, a folder entitled root rather, the download for the executable, and everything else is in the VMware player directory. So let's find the main executable. Voila! This is from previous installs I've done, this XP Professional. So let's delete that, and let's create a new machine. This is reading, once again, VMware Workstation 10, which I would love to go over at a different time, but we're going to skip that for now. Actually, just remind me later. Okay. So it's going to install Windows XP Pro from my Blu-ray player. And easy install. Now, I didn't show you before for time constraints, but during the XP install, if you're using VirtualBox, you'll have to stop and add the time and time zone, etc., etc. With easy install, it's scripted. It's like a auto 1 in 10 file where it does a lot of the easy stuff for you. So let's hit next. And from this point on, the only thing this shows, I'm going to stop here and enter the product key. The only thing after this is the size of the fixed drive for the virtual hard drive for VMware Player. And this part I can pretty much skip. Once we bring this all back up, Windows XP will once again be installed, and we'll go in depth with VMware. Then we'll wrap everything up with a comparison between the two. Back in a flash. And I lied. Now, while this is running, during the Oracle VirtualBox, I showed you the expansion pack that gave you USB support, Pixie booting, stuff like that. VMware is, I feel their interface is a little bit more slick. Everything is integrated very well. There are very few prompts. They don't even tell you how to escape your screen. Actually, that's not true. It's Control and Alt. They do give you a little message about that. But it's a lot easier to navigate around. And the big thing, the big improvement between VMware Player over VirtualBox is something called Unity mode, which I'm going to show you in detail. And it's really cool. So anyway, we're going to download and install VMware Tools. And from this point on, I believe I can go back to pausing it. One advantage over VMware for Oracle is the install seems to take a lot longer with VMware Player. I don't know why this is. I'm guessing it's because of the size of the virtual drives. Again, you're creating one that's up to 10 10 gigs for Oracle, and I believe this one was 10, but I think it's a fixed disk size. I don't think they give you the option to use dynamic versus fixed, so maybe that's why. I honestly don't know. I'm sure someone in the class, the guys who are all running Zen server, can let me know where that's at. But again, we're going to pause this here. We're going to get through all the fluff, and we'll start back up again with some explanation of VMware's features. Okay, that was about 25 minutes. So what we're jumping back into here is the final stages of the XP install. Now, where Oracle had the expansion pack, VMware uses VMware tools. You don't have to do anything. Again, it's all scripted. If you recall, when I did the XP install using VirtualBox, you still had to choose whether or not to register with Microsoft and all that fun stuff. Again, scripted. Don't have to worry about it. So, a lot easier with the scripted file, and I haven't seen any bugs with it. And again, I've done this 4 or 5 times now. Very smooth. So this is going to throw on SCSI drivers, virtual drivers, and apparently mouse and USB drivers as well. And this won't take too much longer, so definitely not worth pausing it again. You can see the network is initializing in the background. And that'll pop up. We're not going to activate Windows. And it's going to reboot. Now, even though, excuse me, even though I've done this 3 or 4 times, I failed to notice the little Show Devices button at the top that has pretty much the exact same thing that VirtualBox does. And they have pretty much the same prompts. Tells you to hit Control and Enter to get out of the screen if you're locked in. Again, I haven't seen any problems with that. They're both pretty seamless. Once you get them up and running, get all the expansion packs and all that fun stuff. So let's make this a little bit bigger here. Let's go with that. Looks a little too big. No, that'll be fine, I think. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to keep that. Now, as promised, manage virtual machine settings. 512, the easy install picked that for you. You can pick multiple processor cores. But again, keep in mind these are virtual processor cores. And if you have, obviously, for some reason you only have a single core machine, you're only going to be able to use one. There's your virtual drive. Bridge mode that we talked about a little bit earlier. And again, this is using NAT. It's sharing the host address. And host only, I see I'm mistaken about that as well. That's actually a private network shared with the host and not sharing the IP address through NAT. I was confusing the two systems. It does see my printer here, and it's using my sound card, obviously. Or you can specify to use that, rather. And it shows the one monitor. Options. Obviously, it's Windows XP Pro. You can turn the power on and off. Unity mode. Now, I made a mistake, and you'll have to forgive me. I'm not redoing this entire presentation to show you this. I'm doing this in Windows mode again, so that I can actually make this work. When you go down to the Windows button on your host machine, after you select Unity mode, let's do this now. I can at least show you the top of it. Let's get out of this. Let's go to Unity mode. Now, you won't be able to see this, but let me. It'll be very clear once you hit the Windows icon. Run your mouse cursor above it, rather. It'll say Windows XP Pro, representing the virtual machine that's running in the background. And you can see from your host machine, you can access everything that would be in the window. So it's pretty cool. Again, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I'm going to show you a professional write-up that gives more details about the differences between the two. But really, each has their own neat features. Oracle has snapshots. Virtual Player 5 doesn't, but Unity mode is pretty neat if you're into a integrated interface. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to get out of that. And bring this back up. Now, back to manage virtual machine settings, options. Shared folders is pretty easily done here as well. Let's map it as a network drive. Path out to it, get a wizard. Same way, same folder. Use the default name, make it read only, finish. And that is that. This, I'm pretty sure I do not have to reboot, although it does take a moment. You'll notice the lag there. There we go. And yep, this is definitely going to work. You'll notice a slight pause because it's reconfiguring. In fact, it's freezing, which it did before, so that's actually a good sign as far as I'm concerned. And there we go. My computer, voila. Shared drive on your host machine. Pretty neat stuff. So let's shrink this. And yes, you can run two. I'm going to bring up the Oracle VirtualBox machine, start it up. Turn off the warnings, which we've gone over. And that window I need to keep open, my apologies. Okay, so here are the two backdrops, desktops rather. If I can get to it here. There we go. So Oracle, you can take snapshots, access the settings through here. Here are the two settings windows side by side. Goodness. Here are the two settings windows side by side. Player, manage, virtual machine settings. Both allow you about the same functionality. Really not too much different there. They both detect the devices of the host machine. I don't believe, come to think of it, I don't believe that, yeah, there's something new I just noticed right there. So that's two things for VirtualBox: snapshots and the bidirectional drag and drop. Let's see if we can do, actually, you know what, let's not. I was going to see if we could drag from a VMware to my desktop, but I think it's time to wrap this up. So as promised, we'll shut these down now. And close it. And let's bring up the article that I talked about. So this gets a bit more into the nitty-gritty. Now, what can one do that the other can't? Pros of VMware Player. Nested hardware-assisted virtualization. Again, this is if you're running virtual machines inside of virtual machines, instantiate guest hypervisors which require hardware-assisted virtualization. Again, maybe someone like Nick or someone else or Nate who have used Zen Server would like to talk to that. I haven't done much with nested virtual machines. VMware Player has support for the USB 3.0, which is not a killer. But as we mentioned before, it doesn't have snapshot. I don't know if 6 offers that. And again, VMware Workstation, very powerful. You can run dedicated servers, dedicated workstations on it. So if 6 doesn't offer it, VMware does offer a flavor that will. So VirtualBox, GUI-based wizard for cloning VMs, useful. Snapshots, multiple snapshots, multiple types of disk image. This I did not cover too much. I don't know how useful that is, to be honest. How to install Zen Server on VMware Player. Very cool. Cannot extend. That's not the one I wanted to point out. Again, more minor things like adding 8 NICs to a guest VM where VMware Player can create 10. You really have to be using this heavily to withdraw the most from it. So with that, I think that wraps up and gives you guys an idea, hopefully, of the differences between the two. And thank you very much for your time.